Good evening, everybody. I have a couple things I'd like to get straight right off the bat. Greg McGuckin talked about being Irish, but you see the tie I have on. It really makes it official. And Joe Vicari kind of bragged about the plaque that he gave to our guest of honor that's in gold and has a gold seal. And now you know where all your taxes are going. Because on behalf of the township, we always use a paper folder with gold so to be sure we're doing everything to keep our taxes down. You know, in the political pecking order, state representative usually goes first because that's the state level, then the county level, and then last but not least, I get called upon. And I wind up having to follow Joe Vicari, and probably what you heard was one of the shortest speeches you've ever heard. I will tell you that so many times I've been at a function, something like this, and by the time Joe Vicari is finished, I forget what the occasion is. I will tell you this is the fun part of the mayor, being able to do this and participate in an occasion like this. Gus just mentioned the storm. What a tragedy we've experienced here in our community. You know, you can see all the pictures and so on, but when you actually stand on the streets and where all the damage is, it's just unbelievable. I went over to Ortley Beach the first light of day the morning after the storm, and we turned in a police truck to go north, and we had to stop because poles were down, wires were across. It looked like a massive spider web, and just in the midst of all of that were houses that had washed down from the ocean front. And it just gives you some idea of the severity of that storm that could tear houses right off their foundations. The smell of natural gas was overwhelming because as each house was ripped off the foundations, the gas lines parted. It was unbelievable. And if you go over there today, we're trying. We just got FEMA to authorize us to reimburse us for tearing down houses that are beyond repair. We have a list of over 325 homes so far that have to be demolished. So we're working on that. We're trying to get the beach open for the summer, but the last storm of Wednesday, I guess it was March 6th, ate into the base of the new dunes that we built. We spent $1.6 million, brought in 400 truckloads a day of sand until we had the new dunes, and now they're threatened. So it's not going to go away for a short time. One of the things I just have to tell everybody about the storm is that on the night of the storm, especially in areas right down the street here in the Silverton area and over along east of Fisher Boulevard, areas got flooded that never got flooded before, and it was only a voluntary evacuation area, so people didn't have to go. And all of a sudden, the water came in with a vengeance. And God bless them, our volunteer firemen, our EMS, and our police department that night rescued 542 people using jet skis, towing flat-bottom boats, and when it got too dangerous for them, we brought in from Public Works front-end loaders with the big high wheels and the exhaust that goes straight up. We put police officers in the buckets, went to houses, put the bucket on the porch or up to a second-story building, and lifted people out. Over off Route 37, the Eastover firemen went into the Guilford Park area to rescue people where they'd gotten calls. The engine couldn't go any further. Two of these guys jumped into the water and waded in waist-deep, freezing cold water. And don't forget, the storm is at its height. The wind is blowing, wires are down, tree limbs are flying all over, and they got two women out of their house on a rescue board, and got another call for a couple with their children, tried to drive out in a pickup truck. They were stuck, and they went over and got them out. And we got a very frightening call from Barry around where there was a mandatory evacuation. A woman said she's up in the attic with her children, and not only is the house filled with water, but there's a terrible smell of gas. 6 of our people, 2 police, 2 firemen, 2 EMS, got one of those big army trucks, I call them a 6-by or a deuce and a half, and they started to go over there. When they got by the causeway, this was at the height of the storm, by the Seaside Heights Elementary School, this big truck started to float sideways and lost its traction. That's not scary. It gives you some idea of how bad that is. The back wheels finally hit a median, and they were able to make traction. They just knew they could not get there. Thank God that they got those people first, the light of day. But when we can do an operation like that, and remember, our EMS people and our firemen are all volunteer people. So you talk about the great spirit of volunteerism that exists in this town. God love them. And you just have to respect and appreciate what they do. same thing happens with our churches and what our guest of honor has done here tonight. You know, church can be a great institution, but without some people picking up the cudgels and going to do the work for it, it doesn't happen. So, Sergio, I'd like to ask you to come on up. Where do you go? There it is. And I want to just tell you this. They mentioned the Marine Corps, and I was at Lakehurst years ago. I was in charge of the guard detachment, and not many people can say this, but I had a perfect record. We had to guard the blimps, and nobody stole one. One other lesson I learned in the Marine Corps as an officer, they said, don't ever get between your troops and the mess hall if the troops haven't eaten. So I see you folks haven't eaten, and I'm going to make this short. Sergio, I'm not going to read this because it's a recount of everything that everybody else has talked about, but it's a proclamation from the town recognizing you for everything that you've done, your personal accomplishments, and what you've done for the church congregation here. And this is a proclamation signed by me as the mayor, George Whitman as the council president, and all 6 of our other council presidents. So please accept this with our thanks and appreciation, and maybe in a couple of years we'll get you a gold frame.
I'm videoing it.